Alright guys, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video, and today we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of the Legends Limited units from 2022, and we're going to go ahead and rank them in order. And the way that I'm going to go ahead and go about this is that there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to consider. One in particular is going to be that they are 100% fully boosted, 14 stars, all that good stuff. That's how I'm going to rank them all equally. Secondly is the teams that they mostly shine in. So I'm going to go ahead and take in particular, for example, Bardock, right? If Bardock, for example, he shines the most in a Team Bardock team, then that would factor in against them because there's no PvP meta relevant team for Team Bardock. So if that was the case for him, then that would work against him. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump in, and obviously we're going to start with Bardock. Unfortunately, Bardock really was dead on arrival. He while he had a few kind of interesting perks, in particular, he was the direct response to the Zenkai Purple Chilled that was released not too long before. But unfortunately, he begs for more, regardless. He also got, at some point a couple months ago, he did get a platinum equipment, but which has made him to an extent relevant if you don't have an Ultra Super Vegito unit in your team. But he does nullify special cover change for 10 timer counts. He nullifies many different things, but this is in particular with his main ability. But there's really there's not really anything impressive about him, in my opinion, outside of him being a direct response to LOE, Lineage of Evil. So if I were to go ahead and rank him, I would say that he is A tier. He is still definitely one of the better Yellow Saiyans at the moment if you don't have Ultra Super Vegito. So keeping that in mind, excuse me. One of the things that worked against him, and not necessarily in regards to utility, but in regards to hype, is the fact that he is not a transforming unit. As you can see, he's not a transforming unit. When his footage was released, gameplay footage was released, I'm so sorry, there was instances and shots that showed that he was in Super Saiyan form. Unfortunately, that is only the case for his LF, not for anything else. He doesn't transform off of a green card. He doesn't transform from main ability. So the community didn't really, didn't really welcome him with open arms, unfortunately, but that's okay. Again, if you don't have Ultra Super Vegito, then he is probably one of your better Saiyan options, Yellow Saiyan options. So number two, again, I would say that he is definitely A tier. Unless he gets a Zenkai and buffs him up more than Ultra Super Vegito or gives him some kind of advantage, I would keep him in A tier. So Full Power Jiren was released thereafter, sometime in like February. I want to say it was February or March. And he buffs Universe 11, powerful opponent in Rival Universe. Really, the only team that he really shines in is powerful opponent. Universe 11 is not that well teased out. Rival Universe, same thing as well. While we do have a lot of Rival Universe units, unfortunately, I don't think that there really is a leader that makes them shine, unfortunately. So, one of the things that he does that is impressive in my opinion, and I think in particular, is that he is a direct response to Saiyans, which is maybe about 80 to 90% of the units in the game at the moment, right? So keeping that in mind, even though a well-oiled yellow Bardock can take him out, not to mention Ultra Super Vegito, I think that he is still a great unit to have fighting against Saiyans, right? And not only that, but he does have a pretty cool unique response to Rising Rush. He does get all these nice little perks whenever your enemy goes ahead and uses a rush against you, so that's really helpful. regardless of whether you this is really the only one that kind of activates if the rush does KO you per se, quote unquote, is you do have endurance in that sense. So you do have endurance over Rising Rush, but if for whatever reason you get hit, you get attacked by a green unit, or you get a Rising Rush by a green unit, and you're at full health, and maybe they're not, maybe they're at 3 stars while you're at maybe 12 stars or whatever the case may be, you're gonna live that. So more often than not. So unfortunately, the thing that works against him is the fact that he is easily replaced by another ultra legendary Super Saiyan Broly. So however, I am not including the ultra units in this video because I do believe that they have their own unique circumstances to discuss. So with that being said, I would probably put Full Power Jiren at A tier. And even with this unique equipment, I still think that because Ultra Legendary Super Saiyan Broly replaces him, he doesn't really move up in the team in the ranking. So with that being said, let's move on to the next unit, which is everybody's favorite unit, Android 17 and 18. So I would say that Android 17 and 18 are still one of the most destructive units in the game. I will say, however, that they have started to age. There are a lot of units that respond to them, that do really do damage them, if not KO them. The teams that they're on are Girls, Android, Future, Twins, and Powerful Opponent. Really, the only ones that are relevant right now at the moment is Future and Powerful Opponent. That can be relevant, should I say. Android, you can make a case with the new Android that was released with the Super Saiyan 4s, but unfortunately, I don't think that there's enough Android support and coverage. I don't see Android really making a dent in the meta at the current moment. However, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but should I say, there's a lot of good unique perks to each to this unit in particular, and each one kind of changes things up a little bit. But however, they are a specific they do specifically address Super Saiyan and Saiyan, so they do hurt pretty much 80% of the pool in your units. So there's a lot of things to really take into account as to why they are still very destructive. So I'm not going to go into detail with them. There's a lot for them to play with. So I would say that if you are considering them for a future team, these two definitely take the cake over Corrupted Merge Zamasu. Even though Corrupted Merge Zamasu Legends Limited did get a unique equipment recently, it wasn't enough to make him PvP meta relevant, and he is easily replaced. Even if you have a Corrupted Merge Zamasu at 14 stars and you have an Android 17 and 18 at 5 stars, I would choose these guys over Corrupted Merge Zamasu, just because defensively and offensively, and their kit and the perks just do so much more than Merge Zamasu. So with that being said, I would probably rank them in S tier. So next up is the anniversary headliner, Ultra Instinct Goku. So keeping in mind, this is Ultra Instinct, this is not MUI. There's no mastered Ultra Instinct in any game, in the manga or in the anime. So keeping that in mind, I know it's just a little pet peeve of mine, but anyway, with that being said, Red UI Goku, if you have him as a last man standing, is an amazing unit to keep as a last man standing. Can survive, has endurance if he is last man, which is really great. He definitely easily and effectively replaces Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which ran the meta for a really long time, pre Zenkai and post Zenkai. Gohan has aged over time, so he does really replace him well in the Sun family and Saiyan team. And not only that, but he does have a great he is a great option for God Ki, should I say. One of the things that I don't like about this unit in particular is his defense. His defenses aren't that great. They're below 100,000 K, whereas like a lot of other units definitely are over, as you can see. In this particular, this is a red unit again, 100%, 14 stars, all this good stuff. Definitely something to be begged for. However, his dodge mechanic And his Rising Rush Auto Win is definitely a perk that overshadows all of that. I think that, while he does not have that much great defense, as you can see right here, and his health isn't that great, he does amazingly well in dodging and auto winning. So not only that, but if you pair him up with another support unit, another God Key support unit, in particular, I'm talking about Vados, that can pump out more green cards, then he can refill his dodge gauge as much as possible. So that's really, really important. I'm actually glad that they didn't give him more green card accessibility on his own, because otherwise he would be broken. So I would say that he is definitely Z-tiered in my opinion. A lot of his perks, a lot of the things that he has to play with are really what set him above a lot of units over in comparison. So moving on to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he is the sub headliner. He is part 2's headliner for the anniversary. He is in the Sun Family Saiyan and Saiyan 3, as well as sagas from the movies. Obviously, he fits the most in the movies team, Saiyan team, and Sun Family team. There's not really a good Super Saiyan 3 team, which is fine. But in particular, he's an amazing green option for all those that I mentioned. Not only that, but he pairs well with Red UI Goku for the Sun Family and Saiyan team if you need green coverage. And then his main ability is really good in considering his unique gauge. If his unique gauge is filled all the way up, then he gets these awesome little perks, right? He restores your own vanishing gauge by 100%, reduces your enemy's vanishing gauge by 0%. Basically, effectively, if your opponent only has one unit left and you pop this main ability, then your opponent cannot vanish, cannot move, cannot switch, obviously, because they've only got one unit, and you basically use your LF on that unit. So and then not only that, but you've got a whole bunch of different other things here, so that's really helpful. So the other thing to keep in mind too is that he nullifies cover change as well. That's one of the perks that he has. He restores his own health simply by attacking, simply by just using strike or blast cards right here. He restores health by 3%, restores ki by 5, slightly charges unique gauge. This is a pretty obvious right here, but these things are pretty important. Applies the following effects to self once unique gauge is full. That doesn't mean that you use up the unique gauge. It's still there, full and active for you to use for your actives, your main ability. But you get all these perks, all these. So he becomes a behemoth in that sense. So definitely an amazing green unit. And in particular, he shines the most in the movies team. So not only that, but this is just my consideration. He has a short and very straight to the point LF, which I particularly enjoy. Just get it out of the way. So with that being said, I would put him in the Z tier. Moving on to the next unit thereafter from the anniversary was Super Saiyan Trunks Teen. So they were talking about this is the Android saga when Mecha Frieza came to Earth and all that stuff. So there was a lot of people that were really looking forward to this unit, and his animations were just amazing. What I really like about this unit is that he gets access to an ultimate card without using his main ability through the green card, through using a green card, his first green card. You can't spam him after, but you get one free ultimate attack through the use of green card, through the use of a green card, should I say, which I think is really awesome. He does have pretty good, stats right here. They're not super amazing, but they're also not like sub prime either. They're pretty good. You can play with them. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have a team where he can really shine. Unfortunately, Vegeta Clan is really taken up by Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Zenkai Vegeta, the green version. He is still the optimal unit for Future and for Vegeta Clan. Even though, in particular, Vegeta does not buff Future, his Zenkai ability. he is still a better option in that, at least in my opinion, right? We're talking about 14 star 100%, right? His Super Saiyan team, obviously, we just although he is Super Saiyan 3, I would rather have Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a green Super Saiyan unit than Super Saiyan Trunks, right? Even though he doesn't have the tag, I still feel a whole lot more confident with him being on my team. Just because of all the things that he has access to, right? As opposed to Trunks. So he just doesn't really have a place to shine. Hybrid Saiyan, I you can make a case now that he does, but I still wouldn't necessarily bring him in just yet. I think that there still needs to be a little bit more tweaking with him, probably with an unique equipment or something. So, what I would give him is I definitely would say that he is A tier in my opinion. He can be S tier. So that's where, it's up for debate, and I'm definitely happy to kind of consider those debates. You can contend that he is a better green unit for Hybrid Saiyan, which, yes, definitely, there's not really a good Hybrid Saiyan outside of him. That would be a green option. I think the last one that we had was like Kid Trunks, like from the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, if I'm not mistaken. So he is definitely a good option. So again, A tier, nothing really moving from there. So next up is everybody's favorite unit, Final Form Cooler. Final Form Cooler is in Transforming Warrior, Lineage of Evil, Powerful Opponents, and Sagas from the movies. In my opinion, he shines the most in movies and Powerful Opponents. I don't know. I mean, it's always a toss-up between Android 17 and 18 and Final Form Cooler. Like, who do you want to bring in? It's really up to you, because they both directly respond to, in particular, he responds to Super Saiyans. These guys respond to, in particular, to Saiyan and Super Saiyan. So, with that being said, his offenses are really great. His defenses are, they're good. They're good. They're there. But the thing that really pushes him over is definitely his strike attack, and that's where you really where he shines, right? Because his strike attack locks in your opponent if it's successful. So if you do land the hit, he locks in your opponent for 3 timer counts, which is amazing, which is really helpful. He is a direct response to Legends Limited Bardock in that sense, right? But not only that, he is also a direct response to Super Saiyan Bardock, as well as Ultra Super Gogeta and Ultra Super Vegeta. So the thing to keep in mind is that he does become type neutral at some point. So also nullifies own unfavorable element factors for 10 timer counts if there is a tag Super Saiyan enemy on the battlefield. Again, that's his unique ability. If he kind of ends up on the battlefield, if you switch into him, you've got 10 timer counts for you to do some pretty good damage. So again, locks your opponent through Strike Arts card, which is really helpful when you are really on the assault. So with that being said, I would definitely put him in the Z tier, just because he has a direct response to a lot of Saiyans, a lot of Super Saiyans. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next unit, which is obviously Beast Gohan. Beast Gohan is single-handedly the best blue unit in the game right now. He definitely can obliterate teams alone with the proper setup, and specifically with his side units, Pan and Piccolo. So the units that came out with him, if you have a full team with Pan, Piccolo, and Beast Gohan, he shines. I mean, just I can't even express it in words. He just becomes, just a juggernaut, interestingly enough. So he is in Sun Family, Hybrid Saiyan, and Movie Saga. So he shines the most, obviously, in Movie Saga. I think that's where he really shines. He has access to a lot of blue cards. His green card has a lot of good benefits if you're If you've got a certain number of cards, then it does a certain, if you're, or should I say, not certain cards, I mean your unique gauge. So it resets your unique gauge to 0, and it destroys all of your enemy's cards. You can activate that twice. You get a whole bunch of things. If your unique gauge is not full, then you still get a whole bunch of other things, which is really, really helpful. The one thing that I don't see people doing this often, is pairing him with Pan and Ultra Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, which is really confusing, because I think having Ultra Super Saiyan Broly along with Pan and Beast Gohan, I think one, really gives some good coverage, and then two, they just work really well. There's a lot of coverage that they can there's a lot of ground that they can cover, that, if there's a green unit, then you just pop in Ultra Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and then if you got a red unit, then you could just throw in Pan, or you could throw in Broly again. It just really, I mean, not a red unit, sorry, yeah, a red unit, I'm so sorry, a yellow unit, sorry, then you just throw in Pan, who can do the coverage there. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. So I would definitely, I mean, it's easy. If you couldn't tell already, he would definitely be Z tiered. I would even say probably Z plus, even though he has been pushed off the boost. In PvP, he is still phenomenal. I would still use him to this day. He nullifies cover change if you play him right. He destroys enemy cards upon cover. All these different things. So definitely Z, probably Z plus. So with that being said, let's move on to the next unit, which is everybody's favorite monkeys, Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. So they are in Sun Family, Vegeta Clan, Saiyan, GT, Super Saiyan 4, and Shadow Dragon. Now, where they're supposed to shine the most is GT. Unfortunately, they're not as beefy as we'd like, right? Most, if not all, GT units outside of this unit in particular, Goku Vegeta, don't have cover change. And obviously, taking into consideration, we're also obviously Super 17's cover change that is specific to Blast, right? So I'm not a fan of that, of the fact that when we're talking about, I mean, this is Legends Festival. I'm gonna be honest with you, if Red UI Goku can have a cover change for both Blast and Strike, so could these guys. So the fact that they are only Strike based cover change doesn't really fair for me. Obviously Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta has both, and I think that's where I favor Gogeta over Goku and Vegeta. So not only that, but these two do not have endurance. While they do, obviously you can fill their health bar all the way up the more you switch. That means that you have to consistently land attacks and then switch, and consistently continue to land attacks and then switch, right? So the thing that I don't like is obviously the fact that they don't have endurance. Another thing that I don't like in particular is the special move card, right? So in particular, we're going to go ahead and go into the special move card. It destroys all of your cards upon activation and applies the following effects based on the number of cards. You've got 1, 2, and 3 cards. Obviously, the more cards you have, the more special damage you get. I'm not a fan of that. Even though the perks are very, very well, I think that, you could easily just KO a unit if you've got 3 cards and just go into your blue card. But sometimes, depending on the situation, a lot of times you just don't really have the right situations. Just the fact that I have no cards in hand really makes it really difficult for me to really like these guys. So with that being said, the one thing that works against them is, again, the team that they're supposed to shine in, which is GT. They don't really shine in. They don't have endurance. Their strike, their cover change is strike based, is strike specific, which I don't like. The rest of their team, GT team, doesn't really have appropriate cover changes outside of Super 17, which is situational, and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But now you're running 2 green units, or 3 in particular, actually, with Super 17, which I don't like. So, or the yellow one, but the yellow one, I'm gonna be honest, I would pass on them. So I would say that these guys are A tiered in my opinion. So moving on to the last Legends Limited unit, Super Saiyan 2, Trunks and Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. So really, really interesting unit. When they came out on Dokkan, they were easily one of the most broken units in the game. They easily take over. They can easily destroy people in Red Zone. They can easily destroy Cell Max. They just do so much. And I believe that Legends tried to emulate that to an extent, but I don't think that they did it quite well. So, excuse me. The one thing that I do like from them is that they nullify cover change, albeit for 2 time accounts. So, but I mean, still, that's great. A green card to a blue card. So whenever you pop a green card, it leads you to get a blue card. I think is a really, really awesome thing. It's really helpful. As it says, draw a special move arts card, restores own key by 50%, 30% damage to damage inflicted, 30% to damage inflicted, sorry, for 10 timer counts. So I think all those things are really, really amazing. And then you've got some situational perks here. I do believe that Trunks side is a lot better because of the anti-armor. I believe that Vegeta does not have it. Let's take a look. I believe that Vegeta does not have it. Oh, he does. So it's 180% to blast damage inflicted against enemies' armor. I always forget which one has it higher. And 180. So they both have it, but for some reason I believe that I feel like Trunks version is a lot better. He has access to the blast cards, which is really, really helpful, especially with the anti-armor. So and it boosts ki, it's anti-armor, it grants additional blast. I think it's just overall better. However, it unfortunately does not replace Legends Limited Super Saiyan Gohan Future Gohan. Future Gohan just has so much more in his kit. He's aged 2 years and he's still a PvP meta relevant unit. When you look at some of the top teams, for example, Goresh just put out a video where, he talked about the best future team, and he didn't have these guys on here. He had Future Gohan in that team, and that's just because Future Gohan just has access to so much more. So not only that, but these guys don't have endurance, unfortunately. So that's one thing that works against them. That I think, again, for Legends Fest units, it's just a loss to me that these 2 units do not have endurance. So, however, I do believe that when you're looking at the 2 units in particular for Legends Fest, the monkeys and Future Trunks and Gohan, Future Trunks and Vegeta, I think that this one is the better unit. There's a lot more access to damaging your opponent. There's a lot more things that you can do. With that being, and not only that, but as a yellow Saiyan, I think it really fits well. Also, God Ki didn't really have a good yellow unit for some time, so you can just throw them in a whole bunch of different a whole bunch of different teams, should I say, and they'll shine pretty well. So, in my opinion, I do believe that they do fall under S tier. Should Future get a little more buffed, or should they get a platinum equip at some point, or I'm not sure, but whatever the case may be, whatever new unit, support unit that might come out that might grant them more access to things, I think would be helpful. That might, but the thing is also that endurance, I think, is really, really pivotal. And unfortunately, the fact that they don't have it really works against them. So, With that being said, this is these are my subjective opinions, right? I'm doing the best that I did the best that I could to kind of look at all these units as subjectively as possible, what they can and can't do, what they have access to and they don't have access to, and also the teams that they are in, right? So again, we've seen some units, kind of flop back and come back to in resurgent to the meta, simply because a new support unit is released, right? We'll take, for example, Green Vados, right? Green Vados was pretty much the answer to God Key that needed a good green support unit. So a lot of these units can become Z tier if they're not already, with the right support. Obviously he doesn't need to be any more Z than Z. He's good. So but a lot of these could really benefit from some support that I think that will push them into Z tier. So with that being said, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if you feel like, should I push any one of these down a rank or two, or should I have pushed them up? I'm definitely open to hearing those. And with that being said, I will, thank you guys for watching, and I will go ahead and catch you guys in the next one.